Hey everyone, what's going on? Matthew here on the channel, joined by my wonderful co-host and best friend.
Go on.
Now today it's the 14th episode of season 5 of Riverdale, and if you haven't been keeping up with our channel recently, we've been doing every single episode of season 5 up until this point, and we've got a pretty decent one again. Luckily there's been no major stinkers this season. Touch wood, that continues that way. But yeah, we've got a pretty good episode. It's a bit of a weirdly structured one again. The narrative's quite unique, so I'll pass over to Carol to explain what's been going on in our favorite TV show.
Yeah, I think we're both finding this season a little difficult to talk about because it has kind of plateaued at a level of mediocrity where it's like acceptable television, and you can go, this is all right, but it's kind of difficult to talk about because nothing's exceptionally good or exceptionally bad, except for I'd say the war scenes of last week. So I mean, it's slightly dipped in quality from last week, but at least we have Jughead back. So this episode is essentially the story of three characters. We see Betty, Archie, and Jughead, all told under the umbrella narrative of Cheryl meeting with Minerva Marble, I believe her name is, who's an ex-lover of hers. So Archie is, still dealing with his PTSD that we saw, glimpses of last week. He's still seeing, the soldiers that died under his command. Betty is still investigating the trucker who potentially killed Polly. He seems to confirm that here, but we actually aren't 100% sure because I mean, who else is more likely to lie than someone in that position? And we also see Jughead, who recounts the tale of his lost times in New York, where he seems to have tapped into what really happened during his period of blackout trauma. I mean, are you satisfied with that as an answer? With him having been missing for 2 days and some rats crawled over him, as that being like, essentially that's been his mystery since the time jump. He's been he's been going through a variety of methods. He went all the way back to New York to figure this out, and then to have that be the answer, were you a little underwhelmed?
Absolutely, 1,000,000%. I think Betty and Archie have pretty good moments in this episode. I thought Jughead's was really lackluster. For me, it's got a pretty funny moment with like a rat king that I was really wanting to be real, but unfortunately not. Yeah, I thought that was a really bad way of explaining it. It seems like the Mothman stuff. It must just be just a human threat rather than like an extraterrestrial threat. Now I think they've kind of confirmed that in this episode with the allusion to like the miners or the truckers or something, or maybe they're one and the same. I'm not too sure. I do think it's all
Or
going
yeah,
to come to
it's going to be like a retroactive thing of everyone in Riverdale has been carbon monoxide poisoned, and that's why they're all
yeah,
insane, and why
something like that.
this is like a larger than life universe.
I'm convinced though that the season is going to boil down to this mysterious palladium, whether that's either poisoning people or whether that's what the Mothman are after or whatever, whoever the Mothman will be. I think the palladium's definitely the key to it. But I don't know. I think this episode really struck me as quite a strange narrative one because, as you said, it does have that umbrella narrative, which it kind of builds to. I'll have a look at the Netflix bio of this episode because it kind of suggests something that we didn't get in this episode. So, where was it here? It said there was like it all culminates in this big threat or something. So it was like, yeah, Cheryl starts a new operation with the help of Archie and crew, but things take a terrifying turn. So I thought I kind of expected, okay, maybe a really good climax of the episode where like something major happens, but nothing happens at all. It's so anticlimactic. I thought it was
I
really
mean, clearly
disappointing.
they just mean the terror in the mines.
Hmm.
But to have the answer be it was carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah,
I mean, there may be
definitely.
something else there. That was kind of just Uncle Frank's uneducated opinion. So I mean, it could be anything, I suppose. I think the palladium being the source of the poison
Yeah.
is a good shot. I think that's it would explain why Riverdale, in specifically is just a place of madness. So I mean, I think that would be a good answer, not necessarily a satisfying one. If they say the reason people are seeing aliens is because of a precious metal under the maple groves, it couldn't be more Riverdale. In it being
Yeah.
an obvious and underwhelming answer. So I mean, it would not surprise me whatsoever. But fuck them if that's the case.
Yeah, I think this episode is really well structured and edited. I really enjoyed that. It's just for me, I felt like it was building to something that wasn't necessarily there. Um, I think this Mothman mystery it's reasonably interesting. Like, it's been going on a while now where I kind of want some answers to it. Obviously we kind of mentioned the last episode that we did, which turned into a podcast, about this season's quite short. There's only 5 episodes left at this point, so they kind of have to be sort of ramping up the pace a little bit, and that's where I thought it was going here, but it didn't really come across that way to me. And of course, with Jughead's mystery kind of just being a bit anticlimactic, I was left a little bit disappointed, I think.
I spoke to you earlier that I've been rewatching season 1 quite a bit, and it's a whole lot different. But I think most notably, it's the quality and the character dynamics. But the thing I miss most is Fred. I miss Fred, and it breaks my heart when they show like a picture of him and just to know he's not there. And then you see Uncle Frank and you're like, get this guy out of here. I'd rather have no one than, them trying to replace him with Uncle Frank. And, I thought it was going to be more night and day than it is. We said this on the last episode that if you went back and watched season 1, it'd probably be really jarring. And I don't think it is, actually. I think the only big difference really is, like, the huge difference is Betty, how she is actually a completely likable character in season 1. And here, I'd say last episode, Betty came close to peak unlikability. I think, the worst was probably the beginning of season 5, where she was trying to, just excuse her actions. But here, last episode, where she's just committing countless crimes and, putting other people in a really difficult position, I think she really came close to her peak unlikability. Do you think it's time to just make her a full-blown villain? We're used to, as I said before, obvious and underwhelming answers. So do you think she's going to be TBK?
That's a really interesting one. I kind of had a similar thought in this episode, where each of the main 3 that are shown here kind of have like a lot of dark moments here. You can see, like, Archie kind of bursts into his therapist's office and stuff, and accuses her of, like, drugging him. And obviously Jughead is obviously dealing with alcoholism and those kind of things. So I definitely think Betty is definitely the darkest out of the 4. And I would be interested. It would be really groundbreaking for, like, one of these characters who people absolutely love, and one of the core 4 who is so likable to a lot of people, be the villain of the show. I think that'll be very interesting. Although one of the reasons why I maybe wouldn't like that is because I quite like that Riverdale is this really dark, sort of sadistic town, but these 4 core characters are sort of like, unbreakable in the sense that they want to do good. They want to try and save it. Like, they are at heart quite nice, despite a lot of the acts that they commit, especially Betty. But I don't know. I quite like the essence that the 4 are quite good. Although I was really missing Veronica in this episode. I had said to you off the podcast that maybe from now on they're just going to try and focus on 3 of the 4 and just alternate them every episode. I think structurally that probably works a little bit better, rather than having a 30-second scene of Betty and then a 2-minute scene of Archie and 30 seconds of Jughead. I think it maybe works better with 3 rather than 4, but I think Veronica is definitely missed here.
Yeah, I think it's another issue of being a bit overzealous with the number of episodes you want to do. Season 1 is so tight. It's so
it's perfect,
well done,
paced, really,
because it's 13 episodes, and I think with most Netflix series, 13 episodes already is too long. I think the best ones are 6 or 8. But if you're really going to push it, you go to 13, and you can still make a really strong story. Whenever you're blowing it out to 22, 23, this season's only 19, but the standard one, 2 to 4, seasons 2 and 3, because 4 got cut short because of the pandemic. Seasons 2 and 3 were like 23 episodes each, and it's just too overblown. You have to have too many plates spinning to keep people's attention. The season 1, it had the principal mystery, and then it had a few side characters, a few side stories. Here, you could probably name off like 4 central plots, and none of them are going to come together in the way that we want them to. It's always going to be 4 bad resolutions rather than 1 good one.
Yeah, I think looking back and reflecting upon season 5 and having the first 2 or 3 episodes being a continuation of season 4 was maybe a mistake. I think season 5 obviously really begins for me with the time jump, and maybe because if you start it there, you're probably looking at a 15 or 16 episode season instead, which I think works a little bit better. It's probably still a little bit too long, I would say. Still, probably that's probably too long for me. I think the sweet spot for Riverdale probably is 13. at a push. I think this show could easily work as a 10 episode miniseries or whatever, or have 10 episode season. Sorry, but yeah, I'm not too sure because it's at the same time as me saying that it's a CW show, so naturally it's going to have quite a long episode season anyway, which is akin to a lot of its shows. I know you watch a lot more than me, of course, so I know you'll be able to speak a bit more on that. But what I would say is I think Riverdale is a property where if it was acquired by another studio or another streaming platform, it would probably be a bit more refined. Like I think obviously it's a Netflix original, in the sense that I think that's the only streaming platform it's on, but it's obviously streamed on on CW as well. So I think if Netflix solely picked this up and said, okay, CW, thanks for your input, we're running things now, it will probably be a bit more refined and it'll be a little bit better. It's not something that I think they'd ever do, but it's something that I'd be very interested in to see.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix does put out some absolute dog shit, but I think, with this already having such a pre-existing fan base who are very vocal, I think they have, a lot to draw from that is, obvious tweaks to make rather than just, when Netflix puts out something that is absolute dog shit, it's, it's shit from the start, but this was good from the start. So I think people know how to logically bring it back to the status quo. And I think if you had the right leadership, you could do that. But I mean, what do you really salvage from this show? Because it went from being just good with a couple of cringy moments to incredibly cringy and bad and enjoyable to now just being kind of mediocre. So I mean, what status quo do you bring it back to? Do you make it just good, or do you make it like laughably bad? Because laughably bad is more entertaining, but good is, you would think, better. But I think you'd get a lot of people switching off for it just being boring in their minds then.
Yeah,
I think if you return it to the season 1 status quo, like you're gonna have problems either way.
Yeah, this episode specifically has like no real elements of humor whatsoever. It's got no cringy moments. It's got no sort of weird shirtless scenes. Although there is like quite a funny painting of Archie that I find quite funny at the start. But I mean, I think the show's identity is quite confused at the minute, in the sense that it maybe wants to be seen as good television, which I really do respect. I think that's a really good idea, but I don't think you should stray away from what makes it so successful and what people love it for. Like, I personally love Riverdale because I love the characters. I love the town that they've built. Everything's so interconnected, where like one episode you can see a character you haven't seen for a season show up and it still be natural. And it's still got the cringy moments. It's got the funny scenes. It's got that teen angst to it, but obviously with it not being set in high school anymore, it's going to be a bit more grown up anyway. So I think it's this season's going to be a real pivot for the show, a real turning point if it's going to try to be a bit more mature, a bit more serious in that. But I just hope it doesn't lose that sort of crazy zany quality that we love it for.
Yeah, if you had to rank the 5 seasons for entertainment and then for quality, what would you go for?
I would say entertainment, probably season 2. Season 2, and I would say seasons 1, 2, and 4 were probably the most entertaining. I think season 3 is for me the worst one, and then season 5's in the middle, where I find the plot points quite entertaining, but a lot of the character interactions have been quite lackluster. So I think for me, a combination of season 2 is really the sweet spot for me, where like it's not as good as season 1, but it's a little bit more classic Riverdale. You've got those classic kind of cringy Riverdale moments in there, where season 1 is quite respectable in the sense that it's quite serious as well. So I would say season 2 is probably my favorite for entertainment. What about you?
Okay. Yeah, I'd say quality. I'm gonna go 1, 5, 2, 4, 3. I think the Griffins and Gargoyles storyline is the worst thing they've done.
I agree.
And I thought the Rat King had sort of brief shades of that. I was a bit worried with how much they were going to pursue that, but then they sort of nipped it in the bud quite quickly. Entertainment wise,
I thought season 4 wasn't too bad at points. Season 4 is reasonably good at points. Like, I thought the Stonewall Prep stuff was good because until they killed off Mr. Pippin.
Yeah. I think season 1 with its quality actually did make it the most entertaining. I am actually really looking forward to finishing it. Then I'm gonna go season 2 because I think it is actually really fun, and I think the Black Hood is a bit messy storyline wise, but I think really enjoyable. Then I'd go number 4, then 5, then 3 because I think 3 is just shit, isn't it?
Yeah, the only parts of season 3 I
I think
like
I'm I
is,
think I'm gonna rewatch seasons 2 and 3 as well to collect my thoughts on it.
for me, the aspect that I love the most about season 3 is the Archie prison stuff. Although a lot of that was
Mm,
sort of the end of 2, kind of start of 3, so it's
yeah.
not entirely the whole season. Obviously, I think the Archie prison stuff is probably my favorite that they've done. I know that's probably a really uncommon
Mm.
opinion, but I really do like that. I thought they handled it really well. And of course, that's where you're introduced to oh, what's the
Mad Dog.
boxer, Mad Dog, and I really wish they brought him back. I really liked him in the show. I thought he was really a breath of fresh air, to be honest. Um, but yeah, that was my favorite element of 3.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna rewatch seasons 2 and 3. I think it's gonna be difficult. And I think I probably forgive it for a lot of stuff that didn't make sense, and I'm gonna go back and watch it and be like, oh Jesus Christ, this is dog shit. I mean,
Mm.
even in season 1, the pilot has some very cringy moments, and then there's the dance off in the mid season with Cheryl and Veronica, which is
Mhm.
just, yeah, it's just poor, isn't it? But I think I miss those moments though,
Yeah, yeah,
especially the
yeah.
dance off thing. I mean, the closest we come to these days are the musical performances, I'd say. Though those are sort of the only things that create like eye rolling cringe moments these days.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. It'd be interesting to see with the next episode being the Return of the Pussycats, whether that's going to be a musical
Mm.
episode or not. I'm not too
Have you
sure.
seen the promo?
I have seen the promo for it, and it seems like there's going to be the return of Sweet Pea as well in that episode. So there's a
Okay.
good few returning cast members as well.
Is it I was doing some research into Josie and the Pussycats, and I saw that in Katie Keene eventually Josie forms a new lineup, and this season is set, I think, 2 years after Katie Keene. So is the lineup one that we recognize?
I think
Are
Valerie's
they in the
back.
promo?
I think Valerie's back. I think I
Okay.
saw her there. I can't remember the name of the other one, unfortunately. Apologies. Um,
Uh oh God, what is it?
I'll have a Google. Let me
Uh,
Google it here. Let me Google it. But yeah, have you got any other further
I
comments
feel
on
like
this
it's
episode?
Harmony or something, but I feel like I'm chatting shit there. Uh, I don't have anything else on the episode.
No, me either, mate.
It was high quality. Was it? I,
Her name
I doubt
is
everything I say in every Riverdale episode.
her
What is
name
her
is
name?
Melody
What did I said? Harmony. Okay,
Harmony.
I was
Close
I was
enough.
I was
That's pretty
close.
close. Yeah. But yeah, what would you give this episode out of 10 then, mate?
Hmm. Difficult. It's obviously a dip down from the last two episodes. I mean, I think we maybe rated uh Citizen Lodge a bit too generously. But last episode there was really some quality there. I'd say it was pretty 50-50. You had Archie having a very quality storyline, Betty kind of being classic unlikable Betty. Here, I think it sort of shifts between characters frequently enough that you don't get sick of one. Did you sort of miss the style though, where they cut back and forth between characters? This time it was sort of dedicated segments, like vignettes almost of what
Yeah.
each character was doing rather
I thought
than things happening simultaneously.
I thought that was really interesting, but I do kind of prefer the classic editing of a Riverdale style, the Riverdale style editing. This was maybe the episode where it was kind of obvious where you have sort of like a fresh new director or like a guest director, you know what I mean? Whereas like the
Mm,
style is so unique. It works
It
to
was it was it was actually it was directed by the actress who plays Alice.
really okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I'd be interested to see more of her work there to see how for future episodes. But I wouldn't like every episode to be like that, for example. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was something new and fresh. Whether it was appreciated or not, it was something different, which you can always respect. But by a fifth season, that it's still able to do something new. So I'd rate it favorably enough, but not as high as last week. I'd say it's an 8. I don't know. I just throw out numbers arbitrarily every week. It's an 8,
No, me
sure.
too.
Who cares?
Me too. Look, I feel bad for any viewers who like go and look back and analyze all our ratings from like anything
Yeah.
because like one time I'm giving Riverdale a 9 or a 10, and then I'm giving I think the first ever podcast we done in the MCU like given out of
Mm,
10 was a
that's a
rarity.
mess.
Like yeah, like it was yeah. But yeah, I would say this episode certainly very structurally unique and very well edited. I really enjoyed the Archie stuff, and I enjoy how the show is dealing with more serious themes. I just felt there was maybe an anticlimax to the episode where I was expecting a major sort of reveal or plot point, given that we're kind of getting to the serious crunch time. But I'd probably give it a 7.5 and 8. I enjoyed it as also. But yeah, that wraps up another Riverdale recap on the channel. Thanks very much for your time today, Callum. And stay tuned next week when we review the Return of the Pussycats. That should be a very interesting episode. That's the first time I think they've appeared in the show probably since maybe like season 3. I can't remember. I'm not sure if they're in season 4. Maybe they probably are. Maybe just Josie.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think the Archie and Josie romance was relatively recent, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember he had a romance with Valerie as well in one of the earlier
Yeah,
seasons too.
Valerie was season 1. I think Josie was season 4, maybe. But I don't think we've actually seen the Pussycat since like actually like a formed group since probably season 3.
Yeah, but yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. Really looking forward to that one. And yeah, hope you guys are all well. Hope your family and friends are all safe and well too. Take care, and bye-bye.
Bye bye.